Hello, friends. It's Glenn. What?
I don't know. That just made me laugh for some reason.
Are we keeping this in?
Sure.
This is Glenn,
And this is Mitchell.
and we're doing a Legend of Zelda tier list. All right. We didn't change the thing. Okay, yeah, this has been a great video so far. So now we have all of our things labeled here, and let's go ahead and rank some Zelda games. Mitchell, let's start with the original Legend of Zelda on the NES.
I don't know how hard you should go on this. I guess does it go in indifferent?
Personally, I'm gonna go in indifferent just because I've played through the entire thing. I mean, look at all these other Zelda games. There's way more. There's several other games that I would put it above the original. You know.
Well, I mean, yeah. I was just curious if it should be as hard as putting it in bad, just because comparatively you'd probably never want to play the original as opposed to other entries in the series.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, I'm just gonna put it in indifferent. Okay, Legend of Zelda 2 or The Adventure of Link.
I don't know.
I don't really like this game. I would actually put it in bad.
I think most people would. You start there.
Don't you want to play this or something?
There's part of me that kind of wants to try to beat it just because
everybody hates it.
Part of it just because everybody hates it, and because nobody really knows anything. Nobody ever talks about it. Everyone's like, "Huh, that one's bad," and that's it.
It just isn't very fun to play.
I just kind of with save states on the NES Classic or something. I think it would maybe be fun to try to get through.
Mm-hmm. We have A Link to the Past. Now this is a huge jump in quality right here. This is, yes. I would actually say this is legendary. Would you agree?
I think most people would agree with you there.
I mean, that's they nailed the formula. It's they figured everything out. Okay, this worked here, this worked there. Let's put it all together and create the ultimate Zelda game so far.
Yeah.
And that's basically a summary.
Yeah.
Of the game.
So.
Here's Link's Awakening. Now, Link's Awakening is it's one of my personal favorite in the series. But I felt like the remake that released last year,
which I don't think is on this list.
It's not on this list. Kind of made me realize maybe I was nostalgic for it or something along those lines. It's not as amazing as I remember, you know? I'm just going to put it in great. I still it's still a fun game to play, especially the remake, you know. They did a lot of quality of life improvements.
Would you put the remake in great or legendary?
I would just put it in great.
Well, then you'd put the original in great right next to it?
Yeah. They're still the same game. I mean, they just have different, art.
I guess.
Okay, here's Ocarina of Time. You know, Ocarina of Time, I know you haven't really played much of it. I just
get super bored of it.
That's honestly, I feel like anybody who doesn't get to Adult Link feels that way. I feel like the game jumps in quality once you become Adult Link and you unlock, to travel between back and forth and all this stuff. It becomes a much more pleasant game. I'm just gonna put it in great though, just because the 3DS remake is a lot better. This is actually an instance where they actually improved the game. They actually did make it a better game. And it's stuck on the 3DS, which is kind of a shame. But yeah. And then we have Majora's Mask, which is kind of the sister game to Ocarina of Time.
Yeah.
You would think it's alright if I put in okay.
Yeah. I think it's cool visually. If you play it on an emulator or something, so that you can actually tell what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's it has this kind of cool, weird mood, and the character, everything's kind of intentionally ugly.
Right.
And I think that's sort of interesting and cool looking, though the game just seems really frustrating to play.
It is. There's some puzzles that are just how was I supposed to know how to do this? The last dungeon in particular is just kind of weird. Once again, this is a game where the better version is on the 3DS. It's like get it off that thing, put it on something that people actually want to play. Um, anyway, we have Ages and Seasons. These games are so similar, I can't tell which one's which. Honestly, like my memories are just kind of blended together of the two. I'm gonna also put these in okay as well. They're Link's Awakening is the better game. It was very concise, very, just well crafted. And these you could tell they split it, into two separate games, and just I don't know.
They split their effort and made two okay games instead of one great game.
Exactly. We have Wind Waker here, and I have to say, Wind Waker has excellent visuals, a really, really just amazing art design all around. But I didn't really like the game.
Sailing around can just be kind of boring.
Yeah, it's not fun. I'm just gonna put that at the end of okay.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of what makes or breaks a Zelda game is how fun it is to get around.
That's true. That is true.
I think, that is really what makes or breaks them for me, it seems like. Because, like Ocarina, I'm not the biggest fan of Ocarina, but, like, it just feels like you're just walking. Like, just, like, taking the shortest path possible across, like, these giant empty environments. Yeah. And then, like, Wind Waker, it's, really cute, and I like how it looks and everything, and the mood and stuff, but then it's just kind of, like, sailing around with cool music. Yeah,
and it has a lot less dungeons than the typical Zelda game as well.
Yeah, and then you have the other games where, like, I would say Link to the Past, that has like really good movement where there's every screen that you move on to, there's something to navigate around,
there's something,
or some little thing to interact with, or someone to talk to. It's a lot more dense.
Yeah, exactly. We got Minish Cap, which we actually just ranked on our previous video. I'm just gonna put it. I'm gonna put it above Majora's Mask because I'd rather play it than Majora's Mask, but it feels very similar to Ages and Seasons. It's actually made by the same team, and yeah, definitely it's one of those games where it kind of needed more time in the oven.
Yeah,
the Game Boy Advance had a very short lifespan, and maybe they just wanted to push out a Zelda game really quick or something. Same thing for the Game Boy Color too, honestly. Huh. Anyway, here we have this is the Link to the Past / Four Swords game. I mean, it's a port on the Game Boy Advance with extra multiplayer component added. I'm actually gonna put it in great just because it is A Link to the Past. They didn't change the visuals or anything. I think the ice dungeon might be a little bit different or something.
I have no idea.
I vaguely remember something like that. And the multiplayer is actually, kind of fun. Now we have Four Swords Adventures, which is a different game. On the GameCube, I would have loved to play multiplayer on this game, but they made it so hard to do so.
You have to have like 4 different games to play it in 4 different systems.
Yeah. The issue's the cables. You gotta have all those cables for the Game Boy Advances. Yeah, it's just a mess.
You have to have a lot of hardware.
Mm-hmm. It's a fine game in its own right, though. Even just playing single player. I liked how it basically was A Link to the Past. Not HD.
Extra.
You know what I mean? Like, just like an updated version of A Link to the Past, visually. We have Twilight Princess. You've played some Twilight Princess. Go ahead and give us the lowdown on that.
I'd put it in like the end of okay or indifferent.
Really?
I thought it was really boring.
The first portion is really bad. Yeah, I'm gonna put it though right next to Link's Awakening. It gets better the more you play it.
Does it though?
It does, yeah.
It's just.
I mean, it looks ugly.
It's I like some of the character design, but yeah, it does look kind of ugly. It's just really like dark.
But some of the dungeons are, in my opinion, some of the best designed dungeons in the series. So that puts it higher for me.
I guess it's another one where it just felt boring to move around in.
Yeah. Now we have Phantom Hourglass, which I just barely played any of. I can't really give much opinion on. I'm just going to put it in an indifferent, if that's okay with you. I don't think you played it either, right?
No.
Spirit Tracks I have played as well, and I'm going to put it at the end of okay. I don't really know what they were thinking whenever they made these DS Zelda games. They were such like a strange like mishmash of stuff. Like you had to use the stylus to move around and everything.
Yeah.
They just weren't good.
I kind of appreciate like the weird direction that something like Spirit Tracks has, and I feel like its lack of like success kind of scared them into staying too close to a really specific formula. Like it getting weird and doing something like that could be fun to see again.
Right.
And on a system that can definitely handle a lot more than the DS could, but a more fully fleshed out game.
Here's Skyward Sword. A lot of people hated on this game, but personally, I thought the motion controls really added to it. I thought it was fun. I would put it in okay, at the top of okay. Yeah, there's some really annoying things like the tutorial at the very start is super obnoxious, as well as the repeated dialogue that you get every single time you turn on the game. But yeah, it's a fun game. I'm sad that we haven't seen controls like it. Using the Wii remote as the sword and everything. I thought it was really enjoyable.
I mean, we don't really have a way to do that as much now.
Yeah, that's kind of my my sadness, I guess you could say. What's the word I'm looking for?
I just think
we can't do it again. Is what I'm saying.
Motion controls are fun for like a little while, but like I feel like it's just a lot more enjoyable if you can play the game anywhere, and you don't look goofy playing it.
Yeah, I'm sure if we saw a re-release of it, it would have just regular controls.
Probably.
Here is A Link Between Worlds. This is like a sequel to A Link to the Past. I'm gonna put it in Legendary. It's very similar to the original game, and I don't know. I was glued to my 3DS playing this game. It was excellent. I thought they did a great job nailing the art style to look very similar to the artwork and everything.
It almost feels like the art of this game is like the predecessor to the Link's Awakening remakes look.
Yeah, that's true.
It's almost like they sort of like, it almost feels like it's the next step in that sort of evolution.
Yep, and now we have Breath of the Wild, and I'm going to do the honors. I'm going to put it in Legendary. Is that? I think we can agree.
Fair.
It's an incredible game. It's definitely one that everybody should play. And it really, I think it has really, kind of shook up the franchise, and in the future we're going to see more games like it. Not just in Zelda, but in general, I think.
Yeah, my only complaint, I guess, would be with it is I wish that like the divine beasts were more like Hyrule Castle.
Yeah. Hyrule Castle is an amazing portion of the game, and the divine beasts should have been more unique. Or
I felt like the divine beasts were the weakest part of the game.
Yeah, hopefully the sequel or the next game, whatever. Hopefully it lives up to this game because man, this one knocked it out of the park.
Yeah.
And here we go. We have the Triforce.
It's a little lopsided.
A little bit. But hey, there's our list.
Ta-da.
So, any final notes you want to end it on, Mitchell?
I think a Zelda game for me is as enjoyable as its movement. That's sort of what it comes down to for me.
Interesting. All right. Well, we'll end it here. Thanks for watching, everyone, and we'll see you next time.
Bye bye.